this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. We are finishing up with the Life's a Bowl of Cherries mini album. This video is going to be how to decorate the front cover and the back cover. Simple enough, except there's a lot to be done on the front cover. So if you're just signing on for the first time, there are other videos to precede this. There's the walkthrough video, the cover, hinge, and base page video, and then the different page videos. So I will list them all in the description box. Go check that out and come back when you're ready to do the decorating. I always leave the covers for the end because I don't want them messed up as I'm moving the book back and forth. So we're going to do the back cover first, and let me give you a peek at what it is. Woohoo! Simple, isn't it? I just love this paper, and I don't really do a lot with the back cover. A lot of times it's what sits on your surface, and if you have too many layers, it could get, I don't know, dog-eared. It just gets messed up. So I try to keep the back cover as simple as possible. So since our covers are 8.5 by 8.5, we need to cut 8 3/8 by 8 3/8 of this paper, which happens to be the page that has all the decorative elements on it. But we had enough. If you ever are ordering paper and you want to order extra and you like the decorative elements, then order extra paper of this along with the kit. But we had enough to make it work. So I love the words on here. It just sort of encapsulates everything that's in the book. So let me grab our book and let's put the back cover page on. So as you may be able to see, I've already put on some double-sided permanent adhesive on the edges. I want to make sure the edges stay, you know, that they don't flip up or somebody bumps them. There's just more use on a back cover than there would be on the pages. And in addition, I will add liquid adhesive fairly generously. Now, if you want, you could take a whole sheet of double-sided permanent adhesive, maybe score tape, and put that on. Now also, because the front cover and the back cover, I'm sorry, it makes noise as I do it, may be, they may get lots of humidity nearby. You want to make sure there's not going to be any bubbling, so you really want to cover it real well, which is why a double-sided adhesive would work, but I don't have any at this point. So I'm going to just figure out where it needs to be, and I want it to be about 1/8 of an inch. Oh, and the other thing I did is I did ink around the edge. Now you can't tell because I just did just plain black around the entire edge of the book, just so you don't see the white core of the paper. So that is on nice and straight. And I am burnishing that, and I'm happy with that. And we'll do the spine at a later point. All right, let's take a look at the front cover. So I love doing front covers. It's sort of a chance to collage, and that's basically what we've done. So we've got a dark teal, so again it's 8 3/8 by 8 3/8. I've got just a piece of this plaid paper. This was from the Patterns and Solids. I have this, which is the same as what we have on back, but this is from the 8 by 8 piece, and it just gives you a couple of tone-on-tone, different texture, so to speak. Now this I cut out of the Hello Sunshine page. So we're going to fussy cut that. And part of this page also has small cherry blossoms, which is what's here, and I fussy cut that. And I also will add some dimension to that, so I'll show you how to do that. For more dimension, these postage stamps are raised up. They're on a thin piece of chipboard, and the same here. This is on a thick piece of chipboard, and these are further raised. It gives varying heights to this page, so it just again gives a little interest and a collagey look. This is another cut apart element. I just fussy cut around it. And then this is from one of the Graphic 45 dies, the large tag die, I think. I just wanted something round to soften all the square shapes on here. You could also do a few different other things. You could do circles of jute twine if you wanted. You could do, if you have die cuts of just swirls or squishes or something like that, just something that's a little rounded to take away some of the squareness of everything on here. And then there also were some offcuts from that die that I added onto here, put underneath where those flowers are. And you could add actual flowers, but I like taking them out of the collection. It sort of, again, duplicated some of the same features that were on here. So let me cut the papers and we'll start with that first and second layer. All right, let's talk Graphic 45 dies while I have a second. So I used one of the dies to cut out this element, and that is what is here on the cover. You only use, well, a little more than half of it, so I didn't worry about taking the little pieces out over here. And I saved those pieces because, as I said, we'll use them down in the corner. So there's that. But that is from the square tag and clock metal dies. So it comes with these 3 different hands for the clock. It comes with this piece, which is great for photo corners. It comes with the tag die, and then it comes with this decorative piece, the clock face, and then the center. And this is great if you're doing mixed media, if you're trying to do something a little more masculine, if you're using gears. You know, clock dies are fabulous. I also have the regular tag and gears metal die. So it comes with this, and I've used this just recently on my Heritage album. They're all connected, but when you cut it, you can simply cut them apart so they're not connected. And then also you get this die. And what this does is, if you were to take Graphic 45, their regular size tag, and this one is in the ivory, then this cuts out a piece that goes on the inside, so you've got a border all around it. And I mix and match sometimes with the tops. I probably would cut this a little smaller, but here I did one of the lines that was on the paper with all the elements. Here I just cut basically the rectangle out of the gingerbread, out of the polka dots in the top here. So you can do all sorts of fun things using this tag die set. So I keep them all in an envelope together because space is at a premium in my RV. So I just wanted to show you that, and then afterwards I just tie a little bow on top. Nothing really fidgety, just a quick little bow. Now on here I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I probably should have cut this a little higher. Let me give you the measurements of these papers. So this one is 2 3/4 by 7, and it's about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and 3/8 of an inch from the left side. This one is 3 1/2 by 7 1/2. I would make it 3 1/2 by 7, so it's shorter here, just so you see the flowers. It's not a big deal. I just used some scraps and that's what I have. All right, I'm going to glue this down, and then we're going to start working on the fussy cutting of the flowers. All right, actually before we fussy cut, we're going to work on the main focal point. So I have a piece of chipboard that is 4 inches by 5 5/16. I ran out of my black chipboard, so I put a piece of black cardstock on it and inked the edges so you can't tell. It looks like it's black chipboard. It's a little thicker, but that's okay. It's the cover. So this piece of white cardstock is 3 7/8 by about 5 1/4. And I already used the antique linen. And this one's going to have a little bit of, sometimes I'll do the paper right up to the edge of the chipboard. Here we're going to see the chipboard on the side. I can't tell you that's perfectly straight. And since this is my first piece, I'd rather it be a little more straight. Alrighty, then a piece of red, 3 3/4 by 5. And again, you don't have to do this if you don't want. You could just simply put that focal point, that cut apart right on there. I do it for added interest. Same as, again, when you go frame something, the more mats you have, the more your eye will go to the center of what's in those mats. Here's that. Now, if you had a really busy art piece, you might want to keep just one simple mat. But this really isn't that busy. Oh, one more piece of red, and this red is 3 1/2 by 4 5/8 approximately. Okay, let's work on fussy cutting the cherries. So in my book, on my book actually, so you see I have the stem coming from the top. I have the 3 groups of cherries, the 1 flower, with 3 more cherries, and then 4, and then 5 leaves in total. I don't worry about what's inside here. And I actually cut off a couple of leaves. I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm actually cutting off, this is not going to show, a little more than needs to be. So we're only going to see 2 of these cherries. We're not going to see all of them, but I'm cutting it anyhow because you may put it on a little differently than I do. Alright, so now I'm cutting this cherry to the stem, and I'm ignoring this leaf. It was a real windy day, and that leaf already fell off. Or a bird was sitting on the... I'm going to cut this around this. A bird was sitting on the cherries and picking it and knocked the leaf off. I don't know. There's a piece of the leaf on the stem. Do I care? No. It's not something that people are going to notice. So I am cutting these cherries off of their stem. How they're going to stay on, I don't know. But it is making me hungry for cherries. I'm not going to go all the way into that corner because it's dark blue. And you're not going to worry about it. You're not going to see it. I'm adding texture. Am I doing exactly, let me cut this off, the shape of the leaf? No, I'm sort of making it up as I go. Alright, so there we go. Now, I'm also going to cut out of this paper some of the flowers. We're going to play with the flowers before we do anything else. I'm going to move the camera in a little so you can see what I'm going to do. I have to grab something. This is a piece of kids fun foam. It's the thick fun foam. There are other things that people use for their flowers. I just don't have it. I use fun foam for a lot of different things. It's also a cushion. Whoops. It's also a cushion for when I travel. I put it against a cabinet so that door doesn't hit the wall if it opens. So, all right. Yep, getting my paper wet, but that's okay. It's just wet. It's not ruined. All right, this is the upside down part of the flower. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I know where the petals are. I mean, it's pretty easy. And I'm just going to take my stylus and make a cup just by pushing this in on each of the petals. I don't remember how these go, so I'm just faking it. And you'll find when you do it, when you do the petals, it just automatically will cup in. So again, I'm doing it on the underside. Now I'm going to turn them over. And I'm just going to push in the center. And it gives them all some dimension. So sorry about the auto focus, but you can see there's some dimension to those. So I'm going to let those dry while I do the rest. Let me go back to the book. Okay, I'm going to glue down the cherries. Now, if you want, you could go along the edge of this with maybe like a dark gray alcohol marker or magic marker or just inker. I don't feel like I need to. And this is going to go up towards the top. And the little stem is going to go over the decorative paper just so it shows, and the leaves are going to go, this one's going to go over the paper just because I want it to come outside of the design. I'm also going to take this piece and put this up in the top right corner. You could put anything you want here. Again, I chose to use a shape other than a square. This is going to go so I could have put this circular element over a little more. I choose to have this element, which is the focal point, touching as many of the other elements as possible. So its corner is touching here and covering some of the cherries. And of course it's covering this. To me, that helps pull it all together. Now you see my backside, which used to be of the chipboard. Was going to be a mini album cover, but again, I was running out of chipboard, so I cut it down and it worked. So just touching the cherries and over there to the top, and we're good with that. So I'm going to put this over to the side. I'm going to lay the other book on top of it, so we've got some heavy pattern to it. All right, something else we're going to work on. Hang on. All right, see these stamps here? I am using them. So what I'm first going to do is cut them down a little. There's a lot more red on that side than there is on this side, so I'm going to cut that down. And then I'm going to cut each one apart. I'll do all those off camera. But then what I'm going to do is, I don't have any more chipboard, and I don't know that I want anything as thick as regular chipboard. So I've got 2 pieces of heavyweight paper. Maybe I'll do 3. And what I'm going to do is glue them together and then glue some red on top of it and cut it out and make my stamps a little dimensional. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll see where we are. All right, and then I'm going to glue these down. So what we're going to do is put 2 of them here and 3 of them there. All right, let us add the flowers, which should be dry by now. You could use a hot glue gun as well. I'm first going to glue down some of these offcuts from that. And then I'm going to decide where the flowers will go. All right, I like it. The last thing we need to do, and I'm going to do that off camera because you probably are tired of me, whoops, is this piece is on a piece of chipboard, and then this. So we're going to put some dark blue paper and then these 2 things. And then I want to show you how I make the hidden pocket. Okay, I want to talk about the hidden pocket pages. You'll notice that once the book's closed, you don't see those tabs. I like to have everything all encompassed in the book. I don't like them sticking out beyond the book. I feel like the cover of the book like that. I don't really like that. Now you may, and that's fine. If you do like that, then you're going to have to add some extra width to these pages. But what I'm going to do is start with a 7.5 by 7.5 piece of cardstock, and I am going to use my tab punch board. There are other different ways of doing it. If you don't have a tab punch board, you might have a circle tab punch. You might have this kind of tab punch. You might have that kind of tab punch that you could double up. Or you could just make the pages large enough and maybe just round the corners. You don't need a tab. You just want the page big enough that it doesn't get hidden in the pocket. But I like using the tab punch board and the tab punch together. And the way I do it is I'm starting with my edge on the 4. And then I've put a line here which is 1/8 of an inch over where a medium tab would be. So I'm making it a little bigger than a medium-sized tab. And then the tab punch board has this thing that helps you cut the paper after you cut your tab. It doesn't always give it. My blade is probably dull. I'll grab a emery board in a little bit and sand it down and make it a little neater. But that is my tab punch board. And then, yeah, that drives me crazy. And then I'm going to grab some of my scraps. Let's do red. So you don't have to have plain colors. I just sort of like the plain colors. I just sort of felt like there was so much pattern. I didn't mind having plain tabs. You could do either. But now these tabs are smaller, whoops, than what we just punched. So you see some black cardstock all around it. And then you will need a 1-inch piece of pattern paper, and what I did is I used both the same on each side. Well, I'm not gonna cut it and put it on. I'll just tell you. So the size of this piece is 1 inch by 7 1/4, and this is 5 1/2 by 7 1/4, and both sides are the same. And that's all I did to make the inserts for inside the pocket. And guess what? We're done. You have to still make the whatever you're going to put in the pockets, but besides that, your book should be complete. And so now we're done. That is how you make the Graphic 45 Life's a Bowl of Cherries mini album using my tutorial Project 39 mini albums. I hope you like this. If this is something you enjoyed, please put a note in the comments and tell me if you made the book, how you like it, what changes you might want to make. And don't forget to subscribe. I work really hard on these free tutorials for you. The thing you could do for me most is subscribe and follow me on Instagram if you want, and on Facebook. I'll put the links at the end of the video. Thank you again for watching, and have a fabulous day.